Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, at the beginning, thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to be here with you for the second time already. It is a great honor for me. The issue that is the subject of my short speech is part of the Polish system for the protection of children's rights, but also an expression of gratitude to those mothers who had the courage to give their child a chance for life. The pro-life debate includes the issue of baby boxes, the windows of life, which offer pregnant women an alternative to aborting their pregnancies, and after the child is born, an alternative to abandoning the child, giving it a chance to survive and find a safe environment in a new family. Child abandonment is nothing new. It was common in ancient times. The situation only improved in the Middle Ages, when shelters and hospitals began to be established as places for safe living of unwanted children. In Poland, the window of life was opened in 2006 in Krakow. Currently, there are 64 running the windows of life, thanks to which approximately 160 children have been saved from death. The last case of a child found in the window of life was a month ago, on 6th of November 2024. Primarily, the windows of life are supposed to protect the life of a child, but they also provide the parents, generally mothers, with the opportunity to get out of a situation being considered by them as a hopeless. As a result of their existence, parents do not have to harm their child. The window of life is a small but safe space where a child can be left anonymously. Anonymity is a very important premise for the decision to leave a child. The window of life can be opened from the outside and is equipped with heating and air circulation. When it is opened, an alarm that cannot be heard from the outside is activated, and people on duty are immediately called to the box. This is the only situation I am familiar with when a triggered alarm causes joy. The legitimacy of the existence of the windows of life was questioned by the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child, which in 2015 called on Poland to shut down the windows of life because their existence violates a child's right to identity, to know his or her origins. This recommendation led to the discussion which continues up this day as to whether primacy should be given to the right to life or the right to identity. According to the Article 6 of the Convention of the Rights of the Child, states parties recognized that every child has an inherent right to life. The right to identity is also guaranteed by the Article 7 on the Convention, according to which a birth certificate is to be drawn up immediately after the child's birth. from the moment of birth. The child has the right to a name, to acquire a nationality, and as far as possible the right to know and be cared for by his or her parents. It indicates that some situations are possible when, in the name of a greater good or in an emergency situation, the biological identity of the child will remain unknown. States parties under the Article 8 of the Convention are obliged to make measures to respect the child's right to preserve his or her identity, including nationality, name, and family relations. The existence of the windows of life undoubtedly undermines the children's right to know their biological parents and their origins. According to the Committee on the Rights of the Child, no one, not even the parents, has the right to deprive a child of his or her identity, if he or she ever wants to know it. Naturally, the right to know biological parents and origins is very important, but it is conditional on the child's life, without which the right to identity will not arise at all. The child's right to identity has no purpose if his or her life, the fundamental value on which all others depends, is threatened. In the context of the windows of life, we can therefore speak of a situation similar to the institution of necessity recognized in criminal law. According to its principles, in order to save a good of greater value, we may sacrifice a good of lesser value. Referring it to the windows of life, it should be emphasized that in saving the life of a child, his or her right to identity is sacrificed, but in the context of saving a life, it is difficult to even compare these values. The circumstance that supports the windows of life is also the fact that they do not deprive children their right to identity, since the right to know their biological parents and their origin is only a part of this right. Furthermore, it should be added that leaving a child in the windows of life is not considered as a crime of a child abandonment, which is criminalized under the Article 210 of the Polish Penal Code. According to this provision, whoever, despite a duty of care to a person under 15 years of age, or to a person who is helpless by reason of his mental or physical condition, abandons such a person, shall be subject to the penalty of deprivation of liberty from 3 months for up to 5 years. Abandonment of a child means leaving a child without providing appropriate care of other persons, combined with the termination of care for the child. Abandoning a child comprehended in this way is completely opposite to leaving a child in the window of life. Leaving a child in the window of life does not mean leaving them alone. On the contrary, it involves handing a child over to people who will immediately take care of him or her and provide them with professional assistance. In other words, leaving a child in the window of life does not mean abandoning the child in a random place where the chances of helping the child are slight and accidental. Are the windows of life the perfect solution? Certainly they are not, but the aim of their existence is conferred by the instance of every saved child. The windows of life can be identified with saving life, the supreme value to which the right to identity must give way. Moreover, going through the window of life offers the possibility of finding a new family that will create the appropriate conditions for the child to enroot himself there, allow him to build up a new identity, provide a sense of belonging, but above all, raise him with love. It is therefore necessary to support the idea of the existence of windows of life in the childcare system and to create new ones in hope that children will be placed there as rarely as possible. Let me conclude with an appeal from the pro-life campaign. If you can't look after your child, don't hurt him. Bring him to the window of life. He will be safe there. Thank you very much for your kind attention.